kalayaan ay kinalimutan. Sana'y upang mapapilang sa upo ng sandata. Mahal sa buhay ay nilisan dahil sa pangarap na maglingkod sa inang bayan. Kapayapaan ang bitin, sakripisyo ng bawat sundalo. Buhay ay laging nasa peligro sa panahon ng digmaan, lumalaban na may tapang, iaalay ang sariling buhay para sa kabayanihan. Para sa bayan, sino pa ang tungkulin ay gagampanan? Ito ang panata ng isang awa na hindi kalilimutan. Hirap at pagod ay lalampasan dahil sa pangarap na makamit ang kapayapaan. Kapayapaan ang bitin, sakripisyo ng bawat sundalo. Buhay ay laging nasa peligro sa panahon ng digmaan, lumalaban na may tapang, iaalay ang sariling buhay para sa kabayanihan. Sakripisyo ng bawat sundalo. Buhay ay laging nasa serbisyo sa panahon ng digmaan, lumalaban na may tapang,
Good morning. Welcome to DHQ.
Welcome back to the Philippines.
Haba ng quarantine mo. Napakasakit ka ng swab test. Doon sa Korea.
Oh?
Oo, dalawang oras na. Naluluha ka pa. Grabe.
Baka high-tech yun, high-tech.
Talagang ano eh. Dalawang beses pa naman. Okay. Looking good.
Sige, Bob. Antayin natin yung meeting.
Okay, Bob. Thank you.
Sa pagsikat ng gintong araw, lalaban hanggang sa tagumpay. Pananalig ang siyang pinakamalakas na daladala naming sandata. Tagapagligtas sa himpapawid, tagahatid ng pag-asa sa mga kailangang sagipin. Hindi nagpapatalo. Lahat kinakaya. Naglilingkod ng walang pagdadalawang isip. Bawat lipad, seguridad mo ang laging iniisip. Isang paaman namin ay nakabingit sa hukay. Di bibitawan ang sinumpaang tungkulin. Di natatakot para sa kalayaan ng ating bayan. Watawat ng aking bansa, mananatiling iwinawagayway sa malayang himpapawid. Para sa bansa kong minamahal na walang sawang paglilingkuran. Ngunit hindi dito natatapos ang aming tungkulin. Araw-gabi, 24 oras, kami ay nakatutok, nakaalerto, para sa kapayapaan na ating inaasam. Pinanganak na katulad mo, katulad nyo, pero pinili ang ganitong propesyon. Ipagtanggol, protektahan, panatilihin ang kapayapaan ng bayan. Hanggang sa ibalot ng bandila ang aming mga katawan. Baon-baon ko ang pagmamahal ng ating bayan. Ipagtatanggol hanggang kamatayan. Kahit ano pa mang peligrosong daanan, para sa ating kalayaan, buo ang tapang. Dasal ang aming sandata, Diyos ang aming kakampi. Hindi magpapatibag, basta kasama siya palagi. Pangakong aming binitawan, tiyak tutuparin. Ang bayan naming minamahal, hinding-hindi bibiguin. Ako ay batang Pinas, nagtiis, nakaranas ng gulo at kahirapan sa bansang nabalot ng dahas. Gusto kong mailigtas, ilipad pataas, ang banderang kapayapaan lang ang tanging armas. Handa kaming mamatay para sa ating inang bayan, pagkat ang kapayapaan ang tinatanging kayamanan. Sandalong nasa lupa, tubig, sa langit umaaligid. Nagmamasid, bantay sa paligid. Paninindigan ay hindi tagilid sa hukbong himpapawid.
Ako na baka hindi ko na makita ang mga mahal sa buhay, ngunit aking kinagaya. Nangako ako sa bayan, di ko papabayaan. Kahit may sugat pa, padayon lang. Mula sa likod ng makapal na ulap, anyo'y nakatago at nakamasid lang hanggang sumalakay. Kung merong balakid, nagkapagligtas ng sa himpapawid. Magputol man ang aking mga pakpak, ay handa kong gawin ang aking sinumpaan. Basta't para sa bayan ay iaalay ko ang buhay ko para sa Pilipinas.
Padayon na kahit ano man ang mga suliranin, basta sama-sama lang, walang hindi kayang gawin. Padayon lang kahit anumang pagsubok o bagyo, kung 9 na beses nadapa, 10 ulit natatayo. Padayon lang, kailan may di ba balaking sumuko. Mahal ko ang bayan ko, tao sa isip ko at puso. Padayon lang kahit anong hadlang, pilit kita kawid. Tungkuling ay atang sa balikat ng hukbong himpapawid.
Kami ang hukbong himpapawid ng Pilipinas. Padayon lang.
Meron Isang maganda panaginip at sana'y maganap. Isang bukas na lubos ang pag-asa. Ang mundo ay mapayapa, bawat bansa'y may pagmunawan. Mawawala ang pukot at galit, mananaig sa puso at isip ang pag-ibig. Darating din ang araw, sisikat din ang umaga, ngingitirin ng langit, maghihilom ang mga sakit, hanggat ating mga paay patuloy na nakasayat sa lupa. Sa kalsada ay ngiti ang iyong makikita. Mawawalang puot at galit, mananaig sa puso at isip ang pag-ibig. Darating din ang araw, sisikatin ang umaga, maghihilom ang mga sakit. Darating din ang araw, sisikatin ang umaga, ngingitirin ng langit, mawawalang puot at galit. Darating din ang araw, sisikatin ang umaga, mananaig ang pag-ibig, hanggat ating mga paay patuloy na nakasayang sa lupa.
Hornet 95, wind calm runway 02 right, clear to land. Clear to land, Hornet 95.
We measure time in seconds.
Hello, good morning po. Audio check lang po. How's my audio?
Distance in nautical miles. Fuel in pounds. And power with thrust. Along with the courage, dedication, and patriotism of our men and women, it is our duty to keep this country strong and sovereign. Guardians of the skies, bearers of hope, champions of peace. Padayon, Philippine Air Force.
1, 2, 3. Audio check. 1, 2, 3.
The principle of service above self is at the heart of the Special Forces. Green Berets silently work behind the scenes both in combat and civil military operations. Role models of courage and determination that inspire a nation. It is disheartening to see the great divisiveness created by those who wish to tear us apart. Where is the dialogue for peace? Each time communist terrorists and religious extremists wage war, not only the soldiers pay the price. Every Filipino pays the price. Millions of taxpayers' hard-earned pesos have paid for these wars, taking away much-needed money from communities that need it most. But we can choose to initiate change. It doesn't matter what our profession is, what culture we were raised in, to which group we belong, or what name we call God. Every one of us has the responsibility to do our part towards attaining long-term peace and development. The Special Forces have been empowering stakeholders to achieve this goal. Together, we can take on obstacles too great to overcome.
No, wala kang pinipili. Humihingi po kami ng tulong, kooperasyon. Kasi po para po sa atin lahat ito.
Proactively prevent terrorism by training leaders of the future.
Morning po. 2 minutes po. Start po
By
tayo.
enjoining every sector of society to unite and fight injustice. War is not the only path to peace. To subdue the enemy without fighting is the greatest skill mastered by the Special Forces.
Mula sa pagpatayo ng school na to, project namin at saka yung SF company, binigyan na lang kami ng barangay hall at saka yung cover court, may tubig na. Yun ang difference talaga yung kapayapaan dito sa Upper Galayan, mula lang sa pagpatayo ng school. Yung gulo ngayon wala na, peaceful na ngayon dito sa amin sa Upper Galayan.
Through unconventional warfare, we resolved a 2-decade-long tribal conflict, which allowed the community a chance to develop and thrive in peace.
Yung area namin, kung hindi SF ang namuno dito, hindi talaga ma-peaceful kasi noon may mga rido-rido din. Ngayon, wala na.
Peace made possible by winning the hearts and minds of even the enemy.
Yung mga SF, nagsama kami, naglaban sa Abu Sayyaf. Ayaw namin yung gulo dito sa Basilan. Ang gusto namin peace.
Sana makamit natin ang kapayapaan dito sa Mindanao. Magkaisa, Muslim at Christian.
Kung ano man yung maiabot namin na tulong sa inyo para sa kapayapaan dito sa Basilan, handa po kami umalalay sa inyo at sumuporta sa inyo.
Peace that inspires terrorists to voluntarily surrender.
Makuha natin ang kapayapaan pag huminto na lahat ang mga kalokohan dito sa Basilan, lalong-lalo na ang mga Abu Sayyaf na yan.
Wala tayong mapapala doon. Kung hindi patay na lang, tulungan natin ang SF. Handa silang tumutulong sa atin, bayan.
The Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program reintegrates former communist terrorists back into society. One of many programs that encourage Filipinos on the other side of the law to return without bloodshed. If all means fail to resolve conflict peacefully, paratroopers always have a reserve, a plan B, a course of action to arrange the meeting between evil and their judgment. Special reconnaissance and direct action are our most effective capabilities. Not long after our new assignment in Sulu, we brought justice to the 21 victims of the Sipadan kidnappings in the year 2000. The 19-year hunt of Abu Sayyaf sub-leader Anga Aji and his men came to an end. A message to our enemies that never shall evil triumph over good. Success is not only measured by body counts or firearms recovered.
Okay, good news everyone. So,
I'd just like to greet, for starters, our friends from the Defense Press Corps and the Foreign Correspondents Association of the Philippines to this press briefing. This is basically the AFP's report. We are reporting our scorecard for the year so that our people, the public, would know the operational accomplishments and the activities of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. From January 1 until today. So basically, it's a year-end report. And just yesterday, we have celebrated our 85th anniversary. So the AP has been around for a long time, working in winning the peace and laying the groundwork and the environment that is conducive for development and progress of our country. So for this activity, we have prepared a virtual, a briefing, which would encapsulate what the AP has done for 2020, covering various mission areas from internal security operations to territorial defense to humanitarian assistance and disaster response operations, and as well as support to the other developmental programs of our government. So with this, I would like to turn over the floor to our spokesperson, Major General Ed Arevalo, to render the briefing. Then afterwards, we'll be having our question and answer open forum. So once again, to everyone, it's good to have you in today's press briefing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's a privilege on my part to do the briefing. Again, good morning or good noon to all our guests, friends from the Defense Press Corps and the Foreign Correspondents Association of the Philippines. We provided this briefing in pursuit of our sacred duty to inform the public through you, members of media, as to where their taxes are spent in the AFP's day-to-day operations. We hope that there is a more opportune time for us to do this, but with the pandemic still persisting, please do bear with us in this virtual press briefing. Yesterday, the AFP celebrated its 85th founding anniversary, where we recognized and lauded the accomplishments of our troops in various mission areas where the AFP operates. Now, allow me to elaborate some more, especially in the most important areas of peace and security. With this, shown is the scope of my presentation. First, on territorial defense operations. We begin with our wider coverage of our air domain monitoring with the establishment of 3 new radar sites. These are situated in Palawan, Occidental Mindoro, and Ilocos Norte. The construction and operationalization of these sites means the entire western portion of the Philippine Air Identification Zone is now fully covered and enforced. Aside from the radar sites, littoral monitoring detachments and littoral monitoring stations are being used by the Philippine Navy for maritime domain awareness. This enhanced our capability in monitoring vessels transiting within our territorial waters, 2 of which are in Masinloc and El Nido near the shores of Palawan, and both strengthens our monitoring of ships traversing in our maritime territory. Aside from the improvement of these static capabilities, the enhanced naval and aerial assets of the AFP also allowed us to conduct 184 air and 575 naval patrols. This resulted in the detection of a total of 897 unknown tracks, of which 217 responded and 343 did not. But none of the incidents were considered as a threat. Furthermore, we have monitored a total of 94,063 vessels transiting within Philippine waters, of which 85,178 responded and 8,885 did not. These detections were recorded as they may be used as basis for diplomatic actions as may be necessary. On effective presence, the AFP, in collaboration with the local government units, business entities, and other stakeholders, constructed a fishermen's shelter in Mabulis, Batanes, the northernmost island of our country. This facility enhanced the maritime law enforcement operations and promoted the safety of fishing community in the area. We have also constructed 11 sovereign markers in northern Luzon, which asserts our ownership and jurisdiction over the said islands. We also continued our improvement of vital facilities in our manned territories. This year, we have completed the construction of a beaching ramp in Pag-asa Island that would afford the AFP easy sustainment of troops in the Kalayaan Island Group. This will also pave the way for the planned rehabilitation of the Rancudo runway in the said island. The ongoing pandemic also did not prevent us from participating in the RIMPAC 2020 naval exercise, which is the largest international maritime exercise held in Hawaii, USA. Our participation in the said exercise heralded our entry to the Blue Navy powers of the region. The joint exercise Dagat, Langit at Lupa, or Dagit Pa for short, held in northern Luzon also showcased the joint capability of the Philippine Army, Philippine Air Force, Philippine Navy, and the Philippine Marines in responding to real-world scenarios. The improvement of our facilities, acquisition of modern assets, and participation in vital exercises with our allies have all enforced our capability to defend our territory and our sovereignty. Now, we are no longer useless as perceived to be in the defense of our national interests. Allow me to move on now to our accomplishments in our international security operations. Internal security operations. Against the local terrorist groups, which include the Abu Sayyaf Group, Bangsamoro Islamic Freedom Fighters, among others, this series of joint security operations in the provinces of Maguindanao, Basilan, and Sulu during the period resulted in the neutralization of 522 local terrorist group members, of which 134 were killed, 39 were apprehended or captured, and 349 of them surrendered. Shown is the breakdown of the LTG manpower reduction per subgroup. Among these were 20 high-ranking personalities, including ASG Sub-Leader Furuji Indama and Hatib Sawadjaan. Moreover, a total of 416 firearms gained, of which 109 were captured and confiscated, and 307 were surrendered. Shown is the breakdown of LTG firearms reduction per subgroup. These reductions in the capabilities of the LTGs further restricted their freedom of movement, also limiting their presence in small, remote, and far-apart areas in Zamboanga, Basilan, Sulu, Tawi-Tawi provinces. Aside from our combat operations, we have also actively engaged local chief executives, religious leaders, and immersed in various communities as part of our efforts to prevent and counter violent extremism. A highlight of this was the Chief of Staff visit to Sulu and his meeting with Islamic religious leaders of National Capital Region held here at the General Headquarters in Camp Aguinaldo. We will sustain our relentless, focused military efforts to further destroy the enemy in Western Mindanao with this two-pronged approach aimed at preventing further atrocities, resource generation both from local kidnap for ransom and international linkages, and recruitment via the radicalization of vulnerable sectors. Now, against the Communist Party of the Philippines, New People's Army National Democratic Front, guided by our Campaign Plan, Development Support and Security Plan, or DSSP Kapayapaan, we have decisively won the war against the CTG in various regions of the country with the dismantling of the 10 so-called guerrilla fronts or gangster of the CPP-NPA. They are located in Isabela Province and Bicol region in Luzon, Leyte and Samar in Visayas, and various provinces in western, southern, and eastern Mindanao. We shall continuously dismantle the remaining CPP-NPA gangsters. We have also dismantled the notorious Pulang Bagani gang in eastern Mindanao. This also effectively allowed us to clear 283 barangays turned by CPP-NPA into conflict-affected and prevented 423 other barangays from being conflict-affected. I would like to emphasize that it is the CPP-NPA that makes a peaceful community into conflict-stricken community. As a result, we are proud to announce the further reduction of the communist terrorist group's manpower with the neutralization of 2,843 regular and unit militia members who were either killed, apprehended, captured, or have surrendered. This is equivalent to around 140 platoons being dissolved. Their mass base also continued to erode with 6,483 underground and Communist Party members withdrawing their membership from the CPP-NPA-NDF. This effectively dries up their resource support systems in geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas and renders them totally isolated. Aside from their mass base and main fighting units, the CTG leadership also continue to suffer setbacks with the neutralization of the following CPP ranking personalities: Julius Hiron, chairman of CPP-NPA and the head of the National Military Commission; Agaton Topacio, staff, National Military Commission of the CPP; Eugenia Magpantay Topacio, head, National Education Department; Teresita Lapuz Naul, secretary, Regional White Area Committee of the Central Mindanao Regional Committee; and Alvin Luque, spokesperson of Komisyong Mindanao. Local peace engagements in place of the flawed and expensive national-level peace talks with the CPP-NDF contributed in the surrender of regular fighters and the civilians exploited or militia ng bayan. Similarly, sustained focused military operations resulted in over 1,724 assorted firearms being gained through capture, confiscation, and surrender. A total of 1,267 anti-personnel mines were also seized, which proves that the CPP-NPA is still manufacturing, stockpiling, and using these international humanitarian law prohibited explosive devices. Most of these APMs were recovered by our troops from trails and roadsides, posing risks also to civilians that pass along. Our tactical accomplishments resulted in the overall decline in the NPA-initiated atrocities against civilians from 113 in 2019 to 78 so far this year. These atrocities are violations of international humanitarian law that we call on the Commission on Human Rights to investigate. We have submitted several cases of CPP-NPA IHL violations to the Commission on Human Rights that remains pending until now. These setbacks on the ground, paired with the exposure of the enemy's use of legal and legislative avenues through front organizations and party-list groups, meant that the CPP-NPA-NDF is on a political and military crisis situation. The 3 Senate hearings held in the past months and the testimonies of former rebels revealed their exploitation of vulnerable sectors that have in many years fueled their violent activities. Bringing this to the national consciousness is one of our greatest achievements in this fight against the communist terror group. Moving on to the modernization program, the AFP, despite the reprioritization and realignment of our modernization funds to support national effort to end the pandemic, we have successfully completed a total of 9 projects this year. This includes the acquisition of 6 Super Tucano aircraft, 1 command and control jet aircraft, 6 Black Hawk helicopters, 2 Cobra attack helicopters, and 14 various types of remotely piloted aircraft, commonly known as UAVs. We also completed the delivery of 1 missile-capable naval frigate, 7 fast attack crafts, 2 11-meter rigid hull inflatable boats, 15 all-terrain vehicles, 210 KM450 trucks, and 100 units of bunker busters. We have also made significant developments in the acquisition of other big-ticket and game-changing assets, including the additional Navy frigate scheduled to be delivered on the first quarter of 2021, self-propelled artillery, light tanks, and ground-based air defense systems. These assets will bring us much closer to the realization of our vision of a world-class armed forces with credible deterrent capability. Lastly, we also did not fail in responding to the cries for help of fellow Filipinos affected by various calamities this year. On Taal volcano eruption, the AFP has deployed troops to help in the evacuation of 1,756,240 individuals. The AFP also provided additional disaster response trained units and deployed troops to clear major roads and highways of debris. A total of 756,240 individuals were evacuated this year by our troops in the subsequent typhoons our country faced in the last few months. Aside from providing disaster response trained units and deployment of personnel and equipment to clear roads and highways, we also provided support to the other clusters of the NDRRMC, such as food and non-food cluster, via the use of our naval, air, and land mobility assets. We also actively assisted the Philippine National Police in maintaining peace and order in these very challenging times. Over 1 million pounds of relief goods, cargo, and supplies were transported using our air, naval, and ground assets. For the efforts against COVID-19, the AFP was able to do the transportation of 1.9 million pounds of medical supplies and equipments utilizing air assets, transported 962,416 pounds of medical supplies and equipment using our Navy vessels, assisted 57,870 civilians in returning to their respective home provinces via military, aircraft or vessels and commercial flights, assisted in the transportation and distribution of 2,455,288 food packs nationwide, and donated 20.5 million to the Office of Civil Defense. The amount was raised by AFP personnel from a portion of their salaries. Like I said, or like what the Chief of Staff said yesterday during the celebration of the AFP's 85th anniversary, this year has been both challenging for every Filipino. Nonetheless, it is also filled with opportunities. With the backdrop of an ongoing pandemic, the AFP still managed to sustain its momentum from the past years and now vow to retain the same as we enter the year 2021 with our anniversary theme, Pinag-isang lakas na maaasahan ng Pilipino. With this, this presentation ends, and I thank everyone for coming virtually though and listening intently. And the Chief of Staff is now ready to answer your questions if you have any. Thank you. Okay, I will be the moderator for this virtual briefing and Q&A portion of this virtual briefing. Is there anyone who would like to propound the first question? Pwede ba natin makita yung screen? Yung mga attendees? Ayan, okay. Anyone, please raise your right hand, kindly identify the entity where you came from, and for time management concerns, we shall limit to one question and one follow-up question, if you have any. Who would like to ask the first question?
Hi, sirs.
Hi, Shara Zambrano, please.
Hello. Yes, sir. Question ko lang po is about alongside the gains that you reported in the fight against armed insurgency, there are also a lot of complaints about perceived red tagging. Various units, some senior officers of the AFP have insinuated that a lot of individuals are either associated with or supportive of the Communist Party and therefore linked to who you call communist terrorists. You had celebrities that were named, the journalists, even at some point, even ABS-CBN, there was an insinuation against the network. Is this type of aggressive messaging something that you, at your level, approve of? Or are these, kumbaga, is there room for improvement in your view as to the naming of certain individuals in this country?
Okay, good morning everyone. Good morning, Shara. First of all, the EP, does not red tag. We call it truth tagging. Marami na kasi kaming evidences in the course of our operations. We capture documents and nandun pa rin talaga yung link, It's nandun yung it's mentioned in those documents na yung link between these front organizations working for the CPP-NPA and aiding in terms of recruitment, logistics, itong armed wing nila, yung NPAs. So parang may symbiotic relationship sila, And these are, in many documents na na-recover namin na mention yan, even personalities. Hindi naman namin sasabihin to if we don't have enough evidence. So, and ngayon, the government, through DOJ, is now pursuing the legal track against these front organizations, and we were in full support of that by providing the evidences we captured, the documents we have captured during operations. So we don't really, we don't red tag. We just say the truth. And yung recent Senate hearings, wherein yung mga kasamahan na rin nila, yung mga former rebels, mga surrenderers natin, and we may call them whistleblowers, Dati nilang kasamahan yan na ini-expose. Ito yung mga expose nila na kung what's really happening inside the CPP, NPA, NDF organization. Kaya nga sila umalis. They left the organization because they were disgruntled, they were misled, they were deceived. Iba kasi yung sinasabi when they were recruited, when they joined. So once inside, they iba naman. So it's the opposite of what they're saying, na they are pro-people, pro-development, but in fact what they're doing is totally different from those things. They engage in extortion, recruitment of the youth and minors, even employing child warriors in their armed struggle. So And of course, the violent overthrow of government is their ultimate goal. It's always there in their indoctrination. So ito yon. So these are the exposés na which we heard during this Senate deliberation. So so with that, we just, we don't really red tag. We're just telling the truth, informing the public. Ngayon, of course, in doing so, we're guided with policies. Ano? We have policies in the AFP on public information, disclosure of information, the way we handle the media, management information in general. So we have policies on that, and we are examining this. If there may be some people have overdone it, but generally it is our intent to advise, inform the public of of the dangers if they engage or join such organizations. So it is our mandate to really inform the public that of the risk, the threat, and the dangers they would go into once they become affiliated or even join this organization. So and we have evidences also on their recruitment. Napakarami na nating those youth who died during legitimate armed encounters with security forces. Napakarami yan. They came from universities and colleges all over the country, and in fact, they're also parents still looking for their children up to now. Yung Hands of Our Children group, ano. So all these things are based on evidence, and we have documents to back these things up. And we do not red tag, and we're just telling the truth and informing the public of the real score, because it is also our duty to inform and educate our fellow men.
Thank you very much, sir. Before we continue, sir, allow me to mention that aside from Ms. Shara Zambrano, we also have those who have signified to attend in this morning today's virtual briefing. We have Ms. Ann Soberano of Bombo Radio Philippines, Dante Amento of UNTV, Chino Gaston of GMA7, Elena Aben of Arab News, David Santos of CNN Philippines, Neil Morales of Reuters News, Victor Reyes of Malaya, Dempsey Reyes of Manila Times, of course, Beth Tañete of DWDD, Pia Garcia of CNN, and Robina Asido of Daily Manila Shimbun. Sir, for the next question, I would read this in accordance with the list that was submitted to us. The next question, sir, will be coming from Ms. Ann Soberano of Bombo Radio Philippines. Sir, sa kampanya laban sa terorismo at insurgency, ano ang naging malaking hamon na kinaharap ng AFP? Ano-ano po ang mga challenges na ito? And then she has a follow-up question.
So, unang-una, the AFP is, we're the forefront in confronting, addressing myriad of security challenges in our country. So aside from insurgencies and local terrorist groups, like local terrorism, nandyan din yung ating external defense, guarding and upholding our sovereignty in the West Philippine Sea. And in times of calamities, we're still at the forefront of performing search, rescue, retrieval operations, and even assisting the national and local government units in rehabilitation and relief operations. Even now, the impact of Typhoon Ulysses and other typhoons before that, ongoing pa rin po yung relief operations natin. And basically, the AFP has its hands full with these security challenges, and not to mention the COVID-19 pandemic, wherein marami din pong kasundalawan natin ang nasa front lines. So, first is yung forces natin. We have to prioritize really, and yung task allocation is one of the challenges we had. So we have to task specific units to focus, address, and concentrate on internal security threats, groups such as the CPP-NPA and the local terrorist groups. And we have to also task certain units to focus on HADR and disaster response operations. So, and alongside with the allocation of our forces, of course, are the resources needed to perform all these various missions. And your AAP has also limited resources in the performance of our mandate. So we also have to prioritize and even optimize the utilization of these resources. So by and large, prioritization of force allocation, resource allocation is really a major challenge for the armed forces of the Philippines. But despite those limitations, I guess we are really banking on the commitment, dedication of each and every soldier, member of the AFP, so that we could perform this mandate as expected and meet the expectations of the Filipino people.
Thank you, sir. Sir, follow-up question from Ms. Ann Soberano. Kumusta po ang implementation ng AFP sa anti-terror law? May mga nasampulan na po ba ng mga individual sa nasabing batas?
Well, as implementer of the new anti-terror law, and in fact, the IRR has been published already by DOJ. There are cases already being undertaken by not only the AP. Of course, this will be all under the auspices of the Anti-Terrorism Council. So the bombings in Hulo, and of course yung ating mga suicide bombers, which we have captured recently, are among the first cases which will be tried and subjected to the new anti-terror law. Meron na po, and these cases would now put to test the mettle of this new anti-terror law.
Thank you, sir. Sir, next question comes from Chino Gaston of GMA. Sir, vaccine rollout plans, psychological evaluation ng mga sundalo as parallel to the AFP, to the PNP Trust to provide mental health. So, two issues yun sa kanya, sir. About the vaccine rollout plans, and second is the psychological evaluation ng mga sundalo as parallel to the PNP Trust to provide mental health.
So first on our task on the transport and distribution of vaccine. So it's the main task given to the armed forces to help DOJ and the national government, or I mean DOH and the national government in the transport and distribution of the vaccines. And we all know that there are priority groups that that will be given vaccine, from our senior citizens to the frontliners and to the marginalized and the poor sector of our society. So these are among the priorities which will be given vaccines once available. Now the challenge now is, of course, the cold storage and the logistics side of it, and we are preparing for it, and we are looking at the template of elections, wherein the AP is in the forefront in the distribution of election paraphernalias in the remote areas where other agencies cannot reach. So we expect most of our equipment our sea vessels, our naval vessels, our aircraft, helicopters, to include our personnel to be actively involved in the distribution and transport of the vaccines. We're preparing for it, and there are plans drafted already in the performance of this mission.
Sir, before you answer on PTSD, idugtong ko lang sir yung question ni David Santos related din sir siya doon. Sabi niya, sir, you mentioned in your speech yesterday about the AFP finally addressing, quote, one of the often overlooked health issues of active and retired soldiers, which is PTSD, unquote. Sir, can you elaborate on the comprehensive mental health program? What sort of interventions the AFP will be offering, and what eventually prompted the AFP leadership to act on this issue after being set aside for a long time?
So our new program for to address the mental health of our soldiers and all the members of the armed forces, both active and retired, has basically 4 major pillars, and this is more on the proactive program. First is we have to detection at the tactical level. So those units and individuals being subjected to traumatic experiences, like armed encounters with the threat groups, with the local terrorist groups. So after encounter, we already have some interventions at the tactical level. So detection is very important. Then if it progresses to really the higher level of illness, wherein expert intervention is required, so dito na papasok yung mga psychologists natin. That's the second level of, that's the second pillar of this program. So they'll be brought to the hospitals, wherein we have mental health centers, and where experts and medical practitioners will be giving interventions. So third pillar is, of course, advocacy. Advocacy on prevention, preventing mental illness. PTSD is only one of it. You know, some are also experiencing schizophrenia and other types of mental illness. But PTSD is the most prevalent in our profession. And number 4 is, of course, again, collaboration with this is a fourth pillar, collaboration with other agencies and other private entities in to see to it that this mental health program would really progress and prosper. So right now, the AP is focusing on the tactical level as much as possible. Doon pa lang ma-detect na natin, and the trainings are ongoing. In fact, we are in partnership with the British government in providing trainings to actually to our personnel on the ground to provide trauma risk, we call it TRIM, trauma risk management program. So dun pa lang, meron na tayong counseling. Then we talk to, you know, these trained people could detect if that traumatic experience would have an adverse impact or effect on our personnel. So with that, tactical interventions are already being undertaken para hindi na lumala into nangangailangan pa natin ng medical and expert intervention ng ating mga medical health practitioners. So yun ang focus nitong ating comprehensive mental health program of the Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Follow-up question, Sir ni David. How can the AFP help fight the stigma on addressing mental health concern among security forces, especially in an organization which tends to frown on tackling matters seen as unmacho or taboo, especially among men?
Yes, it is the focus of our advocacy and awareness program, to our soldiers. Yun nga ang problema dyan. Most of our personnel, and those cases which we a study of those cases which we had in the past, itong number one, the stigma really, na kinikimkim ng those affected, ano? They don't want to tell the story or to tell someone about their traumatic experiences. Kaya nga with this trauma risk management program which we have at the tactical level, so this would encourage people to speak up, air it out, yung mga experiences nila. Dahil ang main reason talaga of this of mental health problems is the stigma which being kept by our personnel, affected personnel. So with this program, we encourage them to really speak out so that others would also learn from their experiences. So we're addressing this through aggressive advocacy and awareness program on mental health.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, this question comes from Victor Reyes. Sabi niya, sir, can you tell us, sir, about the current strength of the NPA, ASG, and BIFF? Follow-up question, sir, how serious is the threat posed by these groups? Though we know the President's directive is for the AFP, is to end these groups before the end of his term, can the military defeat these groups on or before the end of 2021? So yung first question niyo muna, sir, strength, NPA, ASG, BIFF.
So as far as the NPA is concerned, per latest report, yung regular members nila, these are the regular armed groups, numbers of about 3,700, and they are organized into 56 guerrilla front formations all over the country. So, and as far as the local terrorist groups, combined na yung yung Abu Sayyaf, PIFF, to include yung Dawla Islamiyya affiliate groups like Maute, Ansar Khilafa Pilipinas. They number to about total of 600 as of now, the latest report as of December. So they're from a high of a lot has been and their manpower, to include the number of their firearms, continue to decline. So nasa downtrend yan. Ang isang gauge nga namin dito is the number of NPA initiated or terrorist group initiated violent incidents, which compared to last year has gone down by almost or more than 30%. So from 130 last year, right now they were only able to perpetrate 70 plus violent incidents. And likewise, as a result of our relentless operations, we have neutralized and captured most of their top leaders. For the CPP-NPA, marami tayong na-capture and neutralized na coming from the Central Committee at the national level. We have the regional level leaders nila hanggang front committee levels. And right now, they're experiencing leadership vacuum. That's why may nai-encounter nga kami na dito sa Luzon, ang nagli-lead ng ibang formation nila ay galing sa Visayas or Mindanao. So nire-reinforce nila yung kanilang beleaguered. But with the relentless operations, they cannot do that anymore because our forces are hot on their tracks. So as far as local terrorist groups, ganun din, we have neutralized many of their sub-leaders of the Abu Sayyaf, like Furuji Indama, the leader of the notorious Abu Sayyaf group in Basilan. Of course, Hatib Sabadjan is also a notorious leader in Sulu. And other sub-leaders na neutralized natin yan. And we even rescued most, if not all, yung mga kidnap victims nila. No? From a high of 28 at the start of this year, may 4 na lang silang kidnap victims. And yung 4 na yan, bago lang yon. Yung mga original 28, na-rescue na natin lahat yon. But itong 4, their new kidnapping incident in the 3rd quarter of this year. And mostly these are Indonesian fishermen. So by and large, their armed capability the armed capabilities of these threat groups have really gone down, and we have significantly degraded them. And in no time, we'll be able to permanently put closure or put an end in this. And yes, we're doing our best to comply with the President's directive to end all of these before his term ends by 2022. And based on these indicators, yes, it is very likely and very possible. And we are confident that we can meet that deadline set by our President.
Pahabol na lang ni Vic, ni Vic, sir. Will there be changes or adjustments in the way the military will fight these groups in 2021? Because we know that we only have 1.5 years for the President.
Yes, just like now, we are in full swing in adopting the whole of nation approach. As far as the armed capability, which is the turf of the armed forces, we have significantly degraded it. And right now, we are now addressing the root causes of these problems. And mostly these are non-military in nature, socio-economic, political, socio-cultural. That's why other agencies of government are now on board. And we have this National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict. And we have a similar, group created to address the local terrorist groups, National Task Force to End Armed Conflicts. So, kapit bisig, sama-sama, unified effort of the whole of government and the whole of nation, to include our fellow Filipinos, are now working together to put a permanent end to all these internal security problems which have beset our country for so many decades. So we have seen the light at the end of the tunnel, and with popular support and unity and the Bayanihan effort, which we all have, we are confident that we could meet the deadline set by our President.
Thank you, sir. Sir, last question na ito, ang year-end question is going to Dempsey. Dempsey, your year-end question, please.
Hindi, sir. Good afternoon po, General Japay. Sir,
President.
question ko lang. I know this was way back in October pa. You met with Admiral Davidson of the U.S. Pacific Command. And you mentioned, based on the press release sent by the Public Affairs, it said here na both of you discussed the possible use of mitigating actions to prevent transmission of SARS-CoV-2, including the use of training bubbles and scaling down of exercises. Can you elaborate lang dun, sir? Are you actually considering bubbles para dun sa future exercises, with the United States come next year? And can you just elaborate on that part?
Yes, we tuloy-tuloy naman yung discussion natin for bilateral exercises with the United States forces, and with the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, yung mga dating large formation bilateral exercise, we both agreed to tone down, reduce, scale down itong exercises and limiting them to manageable small unit formations. And with that, before we train, everyone will be tested, everybody. All participants will undergo this health protocol by safety measures. They will be tested, they will be swabbed, and only those negatives will enter the training area, creating that training bubble. So kahit magbanggaan kayo doon, but of course, we will still impose yung social distancing as much as possible in the training area. But to create the training bubble, everybody who will enter that will be tested, and if you're negative, you can enter, you can participate, to include yung mga support, ano? Kasi may mga caterer tayo dyan, those who will provide logistic support, yung mga foodstuffs nila, meals, yung mga supplies and equipment that will be needed in the training. All of those will be sanitized, and all those personnel, to include support personnel, will undergo rigid COVID-19 testing or swab test, so that we would create the training bubble which we envision. Yun lang, ang training activities natin ngayon would be limited to small unit formation.
Thank you, sir. Sir, ang bonus question will be for Mr. Dante Amento. Dante, please, kindly identify your UNTV, please. Yes, we can hear you, Dante. Please proceed.
Yes po, General. Lang po itong recently nag-declare itong CPP na they will not enter po sa holiday truce dahil nga dito sa declaration din ng Pangulo na hindi na siya makipag-usap sa CPP. At sinabi nila dito na ipinag-utos nila na magkaroon ng mga secret na mga assembly, meeting sa mga particularly NPA. Mayroon na monitor ba tayo ngayon, sir, na maaring threat o kaya anong mga binabalak ng grupong ito na gagawin, lalo na papalapit na yung kanilang 52nd anniversary? Yun po, salamat po.
Yes, thank you. Yes, our intelligence committee is closely monitoring their actions. They have plans really to conduct atrocities in different parts of the country, particularly yung mga vulnerable, yung mga remote communities natin. They plan to conduct ganun pa rin, extortion, recruitment, and of course, nandiyan pa rin yung threat sa mga security forces natin. Yung mga far-flung detachments, talagang pinagpaplanuhan nila yan. They're just waiting for opportune time to have these units. Minsan, pag lalo na ngayon, break, So, when they have the opportune time, when they feel that we have our guards down, atake sila. But of course, we know their modus. And right now, wala naman tayong masyadong incidents na ganon. So, and also in the social media, they're very active. Yung kanilang mga, dati kasi, yung mga rally-rally nila, hindi nila magawa yan. Thanks to COVID. And of course, not only COVID, but yung mga supporters nila are really dwindling. Hindi kagaya dati, gagawa nila yon. Yung iba, nababayaran. O karamihan pala, nababayaran. And ngayon, wala na. Really, their supporters are waning. That's why sa social media na lang sila. So all of these activities are being monitored. And usually, they celebrate their anniversary, December 26 yan with a large meeting. They call it a plenum. But right now, I don't think they would have one this year. We are monitoring this closely, and even in they have their websites. Dati very vocal yan, na magkakaroon silang plenum, then ito yung agenda namin, although in a undisclosed location. But right now, walang mga ganon. So we do not monitor any plenum, and we will not allow them to have one, really. So yung kanilang declaration na they will not enter into ceasefire, propaganda na naman yun. Dahil unang-una, with or without it, they still continue on with their terroristic acts, recruitment, extortion, and of course, threatening vulnerable communities. And we will not allow that to happen because even over the holidays, our troops will be there guarding our communities to ensure that our fellow Filipinos will have peaceful and meaningful celebration of the Christmas holidays.
Thank you po. Sir, ito talagang bonus last question na to, sir. From DWDD, Armed Forces Radio. Miss Beth Tañete. Go ahead, Beth, please.
Good afternoon, sir. General Gapay, sir. At sa lahat, ano? So my question, sir, how the defense mutual relationship, partnership of the Philippines to the America and other countries as well?
So there's still hope. It will continue on, even with the change of administration of the United States. Yung ating mutual defense treaty will be upheld as guaranteed or as relayed to us by the transition team. Ano? Meron kasing Trump-Biden transition team which recently visited our country. Actually, this is the acting defense secretary of the United States, although he's acting. So he's leading the transition team from Trump to Biden, and we have discussed that lengthily. And there's this optimism that the Biden administration would uphold and continue on this our bilateral or this defense treaty which we have, because aside from history and long-standing relationships, the Philippines still has that strategic value as far as security and defense of the region. So we are strategically located in this part of the world. So even us, we are optimistic and confident that our good relationships with the United States would continue on, and with the extension, another 6-month extension of the VFA. So we will take advantage of this to review the existing visiting forces agreement, maybe recommend some amendments so that it would truly be beneficial for both parties, for the United States and of course the Philippines. So we don't see any problem as far as our relationship with the United States, even with this upcoming change of administration. So first is, we could say, the popular support which we are having. Most communities are cooperating with us. In fact, most of our major encounters and successful victories and engagements with the CPP, NPA, as well as with the other local terrorist groups, Abu Sayyaf, BFF, were information coming from the populace and the communities themselves. That's why yung ang operations natin ngayon are really intelligence driven and are born out of information given by the local populace. Kaya A1 yan. Pag sila nagsabi, talagang nandun yung itong mga kalaban, and more often than not, they result to armed encounters. So most of our encounters right now, for the past months, we have major victories. Most of our encounters hindi na bababa sa 5 enemy killed, hindi bababa sa 5 firearms captured. Dati ang encounter natin pa isa-isa lang. Right now malakihan ito because of the support we are getting from the populace. And of course, another important factor ay yung still the commitment, dedication, and passion to serve ng bawat sundalo natin to really to really accomplish the mission and put an end to all these internal security problems which we have for so many years, so many decades, ano? So nandun yung passion namin talagang wakasan na to, and hindi nila isinasaalang-alang yung mga threats, the dangers which na kanilang sinusuong, although ito naman yung aming sinumpahang tungkulin, but still they continue to press on, push on, and never stop until the job is done. So those are the two factors which really contributed much to the many significant accomplishments of the Armed Forces of the Philippines for the year 2020.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, our AP Chief of Staff and members of media. But before we answer, the AP Chief may have his closing message, sir, please.
So first of all, it's a few days before Christmas, and I would like to thank our friends from the Defense Press Corps, the Foreign Correspondents Association of the Philippines, for taking part in this year-end media briefing, which we just had to really report the accomplishments of the armed forces for the year 2020. It was really very challenging. 2020 was really very challenging but very fulfilling on the part of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and we share with you these accomplishments because all of this would be nothing if not being known by the general public. So through our media friends, lahat ng ginagawa natin ay naipapaalam natin sa ating mga kababayan, saan man sila sa sulok ng ating bansa. So with that, I would like to, on behalf of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, thank you for those support, cooperation which you have given the Armed Forces of the Philippines. And I would also like to greet your friends from the media and all the soldiers in the different parts of our country and those also deployed abroad. I wish to greet you Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and may your Christmas be peaceful, happy, filled with joy and abundance this year and in the coming years. And para sa ating mga kasundaluhan naman, maraming salamat din sa inyong tapat, magaling, magiting, at walang pag-alinlangang serbisyo sa sambayan ng Pilipino. And let this Christmas be, let's maximize, we'll be having break, although kinancel na natin yung Christmas party natin. As you get your opportunity to go on break, although rotation tayo, maximize tayo, spend quality time with your families and recharge tayo. This is a brief respite sa ating relentless operations, and because come January 1 or when you come back after the break, tuloy-tuloy na naman tayo because we have a deadline to beat. That's 2022. So I expect everyone to be full charge once you get back from your respective break. But I also wish that when you go home, may your homes be filled with joy, peace, love, and happiness this Christmas season. So ingat din, may COVID pa rin. So yung biosafety measures natin, health protocols, ganun pa rin. Huwag natin kakalimutan as we celebrate Christmas with our families. So once again, in behalf of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, I wish leadership ng AFP, I wish to greet everyone a Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas and Happy, Happy New Year.
Thank you very much, sir. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media, maraming salamat, magandang hapon at pagpalain tayo ng Poong May Kapal.
This is DWDD, doubly wonderful, doubly delightful, 1134, broadcasting from Camp Aguinaldo, Quezon City. DWDD is your Armed Forces Radio.
Ito ang himpilan ng kawalang bayan. Armed Forces Radio, DWDD.